pjnet.tv. I forgot to close the blind again. It's 9:30 on the East Coast. It's time for part 2, and it's time for Del Didway to share with us. And we have our bumper running so that you can't see behind the curtain. And we're recording and we're streaming. A lot of folks in the chat room waiting. So let's not hold them up and start a countdown to Studio 13. Sorry, somebody just sent me a text. Didn't know. Okay, folks, part 2, pjnet.tv. It's Tuesday night, and every Tuesday night about 9:30 Eastern, we get together, and Del was actually, I'm looking back now, it's been, I'd have to look up the exact date, but over a year now. He has been the tip of the spear. He was our first weekly guest here on the launch of pjnet.tv, which is now just over a year ago. And he's always got something for us, and today is no exception. Let me bring Del on our screen. And Del blogs at deldidway.com. He blogs every Tuesday, as he did today. And I was very uplifted, Del. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I don't know what motivated you, but I kind of needed that.
Well, I'm glad you did. I mean, I was telling you a little earlier, I didn't feel real, I felt like I've written a whole lot better ones in the past, and of course I've written some worse ones too. So, but no, I appreciate that. I mean, I didn't really get the motivation for it. I just thought, I'm gonna start writing about. I did a podcast, and I wanted to kind of throw that in there a little bit. I wanted to see how I did that, I wanted to kind of mix it in a little bit. And so the potential, what we're doing this year, and I didn't want to go through a list of things I have planned out because it's going to change, but. Mm-hmm. Just something to look forward to, and how we can, how we need to do things. We need to do things different.
Well, I like what you said. We need to do things, and we need to do things different because, as most of us look back, there were many disappointments in the year behind, and it's easy to let that become like an anchor that you're dragging. And the time has come now to cut loose from those. But I kind of missed something you mentioned. Your inaugural podcast was this week, and how do you feel?
I was really surprised at all in fact, I checked it right before we came on here. I was very surprised at how many people actually clicked on it. I don't know if you listened to the whole thing.
I listened to the whole thing.
But I mean, I was very surprised by that. I was like, holy cow, that many people, kind of like my first blog. Mm-hmm. I had just like a handful of folks read it. Now, a lot of folks get it now, but that's very humbling and very intimidating too. So I was expecting, realistically, I thought I'd be happy with 10. If I got 10 clicks on it, but I got a lot more than that. So I was real happy with it, and because it was just me rambling, and that's what my podcasts are going to be a lot. Just my ramblings a little bit, my way to vent, and my, one of my avenues to try to make a difference in somehow. Again, it's going to be a different format. I love all the other podcasts that are out there. I'm not going to do as many interviews with other folks because a lot of folks do them, and they're needed. But I think also the venue I've chosen is also needed, and so that's where I'm going to go. I went down and talked about the First Amendment last week. This week, I really haven't decided yet. Probably the Second Amendment. I'm a big proponent of the Second Amendment, and so we'll see. I haven't really decided on the topic yet, and I didn't really decide. I had no script. I did it in one shot. I just flipped on the mic, hit record, and just started talking.
There you go. Well, as I was listening to it, I mean, it's your first blog, so, the first portion of it was dedicated to just introductory stuff,
right.
Which I already know that stuff. So I'm like, okay, Dale, let me get to the,
I know.
But then you started uncorking, and I thought, on the one hand, I don't need to hear any bad news, but on the other hand, I tell you what, folks, Dale makes an important point, although you may not have made it explicitly, but here's a takeaway that I got from it.
All right.
Okay, we need to exercise our rights. Rights that are unexercised are easily taken away. And we're seeing a window kind of closing. So I was proud of you for just speaking your opinion, because if we don't, then it's just too easy. and our right of free speech could be more easily taken away if we don't if we don't bother to use it. Now, if you use that supposition on the Second Amendment, that might create some real.
Well, the Second Amendment was created in case the First Amendment was abused.
It's to guarantee the First, yeah.
Yeah, and so, and the First Amendment has been, I mean, I've been stifled. You've been stifled.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh.
If you're in our line, if you're a Christian conservative, a person, you have a high likelihood of being somewhat censored. Mm-hmm. And I pointed out a couple examples of folks just recently who had some book reviews hidden.
Yeah.
And that's so trivial, but it happens. And I mean, I was following some of the stuff going on, the shenanigans going on out in D.C. right now, and everybody going out there. I have some friends heading out there, and they sent me a little text saying that they were trying to find Google Maps, trying to get them to D.C., and Google Maps is ironically down.
Oh,
they can't find the directions to D.C. So big tech, big media, big education are the culprits in trying to take away our First Amendment. Sure, and they're doing a pretty darn good job of it too right now.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence, I'm sure. Dale, come on.
Right. I mean, I've been, I think I gave one example of our the website we run, Southern Ohio Christian Voice, that was shut down for about a month or month and a half, I think, on our Facebook page. We couldn't put anything out because we had posted sometime back this recipe. There was a recipe. And it has some scripture with it. And Facebook said that didn't meet their community standards. It violated their standards. And I thought, first of all, what standards do you have? Because they don't have any standards. They're as ungodly as anybody. And so I had to reach out to our friend Todd Starnes and said, we can't do anything with our Facebook page. We're shut down. And he had his folks look into it. And eventually they let us operate again.
Speaking of Todd, have you spoken to him or corresponded with him lately?
Not, I wouldn't say recently. I mean, within the past several months. But he's in Memphis and owns a radio station, and he, I don't know if he's in D.C. right now or not, but I know he's in Memphis, and he posted the other day, is just horribly unlawful right now.
It's bad.
So anyway, thanks, Jackson, about the podcast. I mean,
yeah. So, and you're going to do. When's the next one come out? What's the schedule?
It'll be a Saturday morning, about 8:00, and I'll record it. Sometime between now and Saturday morning, and
Friday night.
If I get, it didn't take me that long. It took me 15 minutes, and then I just scheduled a post, and it went out. That was really cool, and it went out on several avenues, several platforms, and. I'll get better at promoting it, and I'll get a YouTube channel and get a subscription to that.
I think the takeaway here, folks, is we need to do something. Okay,
do something.
And if we can't speak our minds, we got to start somewhere. And I really admire the courage of those that do it. But folks, if you are within the sound and sight of this broadcast, I hope that you will consider. Doing your own podcast, because you don't have to be a Dale Didway. We all have thoughts. Now, if we are disciples of Jesus Christ, we all have some very similar thoughts, and maybe if we just got to saying it a little bit and projecting it out there a little bit, maybe it'd matter. Maybe it would.
Yeah. The more the merrier, as I look at it. And I don't get into arguments about philosophy and about what you believe and what I believe. I mean, that's all semantics, and that's all stuff that could be discussed later. But my point was, right now in this 2021 is very optimistic and, a year full of potential. You have two options as I look at it: sit back and whine about last year and be afraid and just sit back and hunker down and, eat your ho-hos and your other stuff and just be afraid. Or you can be cautious and go forward and make a difference and make a positive impact and do, and I hate the saying, outside the box, but do something different. Do something. If you've had a project waiting in the wings for a long time, do it. And stop making excuses and stop being. It's okay to be cautious. Don't be afraid.
There's a difference.
There's a big difference. You don't have to hunker down and be scared to go out and talk to people. Be cautious. Do what's advised. I don't want to say do what you're told, because they shouldn't be telling us to do anything. And well, there was, I saw the report tonight, right before we came on, where there's actual proposed legislation in the state of New York that if they deem you a risk, they can put you in a holding cell, like the Gestapo. I mean, they can do that if it's voted on a pass. But it's back up again. They instigated this during the Ebola. I don't say pandemic, during the Ebola crisis, you might want to call it, but it never came to the floor. But now it's raised its head, and what we talked about the other day is that in New York you have all these empty buildings now because all the tenants have left, and there's legitimate talk about using some of these office spaces as holding cells for people who
detention centers.
Who they
really
kind of like Hitler used to do this,
Yeah.
And hold people who they think is a risk, and they'll have that right if it's voted on.
Yeah, I hope a lot of crazy bills get drafted like this and they draw attention. But let's hope that we have better. But for now, we have freedom.
Do something.
Do something, and I really enjoyed. There was one line in there that really just knocked me out. You mean to tell me that Tim Tebow didn't just wake up and said, "Let me just call Dale Duduit to see if he wants an interview"?
Yeah. The point is, go after. If you want to think of something, go after it. It took me a lot, and I've shared that with you on here. Getting an exclusive with Tim Tebow, one of the most sought after athletes, was not an easy task, especially and I mean this humbly and sincerely. In the world of journalism, I'm a nobody, right? I was able to get him when all the other people could not. So, yeah, he just didn't wake up and say, "Hey, this guy named Dale's on my mind. I think I'll grant him an interview." No, it took weeks and weeks of setting the groundwork, laying the path down to get to him. So, and I did hours and hours of work for a 4-minute interview. So,
well, and you got it, but it paid off. And here's something that I would add to that, and we've had private conversations to this effect. Don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah, you're not going to get it unless you ask for it.
Okay. You can set a goal, and you can actually not achieve it, but you can grow from having tried. And I don't like losing. I don't like failing any more than the next person, but the only way to not fail, is to not try. And
yeah. Well, there was a funny story about that. Was a couple of years back, Michelle Medlock Adams and I had kind of like a little wager going on because we both wanted to get to Tebow for my books, for Dugout Devotions, the First Down Devotions, and we kind of had. I mean, it was a fun little wager. So whoever can get him first, right? And so he's playing with the Mets farm team, and he's going to be in Lexington, Kentucky, right? So I'm like, and I didn't call Michelle, she didn't call me, but we both knew it. So we're thinking, So I'm making calls, right? I'm just like, my phone's, the sparks are coming out and everything. And I get the guy. I had to talk to this lady about it. And she's like, "Well, I can't guarantee it. He's got a lot of stipulations, but you can, you're welcome to come down and try." I thought, all right. So the day comes, the day of the game. So I'm going to get. First thing that pops up on my screen was Tim Tebow was just upgraded. So he wasn't with that team anymore. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And so I thought, "Really?" So he went to Florida. So he was with the Mets, but he went to the next level, and he wasn't coming to Lexington. So that was and then a year or so later, he's coming to Columbus, Ohio, and I start laying the groundwork, and was able to get to him. So you don't give up. I mean, right. It's easy to give up.
There's a comment in the chat room that says it was the fact that you volunteered with the Tim Tebow Foundation might have played a factor.
That did help. Because I was able to show the young man who was in charge of it on the day of the interview. I still didn't know, and I go up and meet this guy. I'm upstairs. There's like nobody there yet. And if you know anything about minor league baseball, you have like 4 people do everything. And so this young kid, he was probably 22 years old. He did the broadcasting, he did the press releases, he did all the interview. He set up everything, right? So we finally meet upstairs, and he looked like, I mean, he was 12 years old. And so we start talking, and I told him what I was wanting, and I had some examples. And he said, well, let me go ask Tim. He hasn't told me yes or no yet. And I said, hey, I said, hold on a sec. I said, show him this picture. I said, here's a picture of us with his mom. We've met his mom a couple of times and blah, blah, blah. And he took a picture of the picture on his phone. I said, and here I am, just a couple of months ago volunteering at the Tim Tebow Foundation Night to Shine. I said, I put on a tuxedo and I go shine shoes every year. And he, okay. So he took a picture of that. And then he, worked out that, and he said, yeah, Tim will do it. He said, Tim said, if you can volunteer and give 2 or 3 hours at his foundation, he can give you a few minutes. So that did help. I think that was the deal. I think that was sealed the deal.
I see a lot of dots connecting, and folks, there's a lot you can learn here. Is that, first of all, you didn't do that work with a foundation in hopes of meeting Tim Tebow. Okay, you did that as a selfless act of ministry to intervene in the life of someone else to make their life better.
Right.
Folks, there's this principle out there, it's in the Bible. It's called you reap what you sow, but you put yourself in position, and the results are not guaranteed, but that's the nature of life. Anything worth doing, duck hunting, for example, the reason it's fun is there's a reasonable chance of success, but there's also a reasonable chance of failure. But put yourself in position. Yeah, the duck never wins. The duck can only lose. It's a cat and mouse game where it's the mouse. But put yourself in position. Put yourself out there, and you will grow. You will benefit, and God kind of winks on those kind of things, and it's neat. Speaking of winning, Ohio State and Alabama.
Yeah, they're right behind me. See the books there behind me? I put them up there for a reason. So. We got the Buckeye believer and Bama believer. It's kind of ironic that, of course, I've got my little Ohio State mug I'm drinking out of right now. So go Bucks.
It's no secret that Dale is a Buckeye believer.
We got the Bama believer book and Buckeye believer. So it's kind of neat. Was talking to our publisher yesterday about it. Normally we'd probably go to that, but can't get down there this year. But yeah, I hope it's a good game. I hope. I hope the Bucks win, obviously, but if they don't, I hope I sell a lot of books in the next couple of days.
You've hedged your bet, so to speak.
Yeah, I got both. I got both dogs in a fight here. So, but yeah, hopefully it'll be a good game, and it's I'd like to be there, but won't be able to. But I think that the whole point of the blog was, as you mentioned, go after opportunities, as I pointed out. Be bold. There's a difference between being arrogant and being bold. You don't have to be arrogant. I was bold enough to try to get to Tebow. I wasn't arrogant. And as I pointed out, he didn't just wake up and call me. I had to go to him. But if I got a no, I got a no. And at the worst of it, I had a free meal up in the media booth. Watched part of the game. Rejection, I deal with rejection every day, but it's opportunities too. It's not just a no. It's a maybe I want more information, or I need more explanation other than just a no. Maybe they don't understand. Maybe they need more clarification. And, pointed out, the old corny saying about Abe Lincoln. I mean, he failed.
He was a miserable failure
numerous times before he became president. Of course, then he got assassinated. But his road to success was just inundated with failure after failure after failure. But went on to become one of the greatest presidents ever. So, but you never know unless you try. That's the whole point there. Do it. Try it. I'll be talking about something I'm trying here real soon. And I've never done, and I won't know unless I do it. And I'm going to do it. We hopefully can talk about it here soon. I think we've discussed it with you a little bit, but it's going to be kind of big for me. Probably the biggest thing I've ever done, and I won't know unless I do it.
It's not coincidental that the themes and the ideas that you are purveying in your blog were very consistent, with some of the conversations we had, because when you have this thing in front of you, it's a little scary. There's uncertainty. There's the looming possibility of failure with some very real consequences. But my advice was very similar to what your blog is saying. First of all, we're not 25-year-old young chickens anymore, Dale. We're, you mentioned that the 2-minute warning whistle has sounded. I don't know if we're that far along yet, but the idea is there needs to be a sense of urgency. And I think if there's any takeaway that we could get that could help us in the year 2021 is, sadly, we have watched many lives get cut short. Many careers get cut short, even if they didn't die. But we have seen the uncertainty of the future. That should be more reason to do it now.
Yeah, it is, because right now, if I don't, it would probably be the biggest regret I've ever had. And I don't like regrets. And my motivation is I want to succeed, but my motivation is I don't like to fail. So the fear of failure drives me more than the desire for success. And I don't want to be considered a failure. So that's my motivation is that. And I mean, so if your motivation is success, that's fantastic. I don't have that. I just don't want to mess up, and I want to go to the next level, but it's more of an internal thing for me. And what I want to be doing, hopefully the next couple of weeks, it looks all systems are go right now. It's going to be probably the biggest challenge I've ever had. And so that's kind of a motivating factor there. I don't want to fall on my face and be a failure at it. So that's what motivates me.
Well, know this, Dale. If things work out, you're not doing this alone. You've got friends, you've got business associates, you've got peers, you've got collaborators. You've spent a lifetime building relationships that this could be the time that you're going to make some withdrawals on those relationships and forge ahead. And you don't have to be a success in the world's eyes to be significant. There's a difference.
Well, and you've talked about also, some lives cut short. I mean, we had my daughter-in-law's grandfather just passed, just died suddenly yesterday. And so, and I was thinking, I'm spending some nights in hotels. I don't want to be at that point right now. If something would happen, I don't want to be on the road in a hotel, several hours away. And, a young man, a guy my age just passed and of COVID and some other things.
I remember you sharing that.
So I'm thinking, why am I doing this? Why don't I do what I want to do now? Because if I don't do it now, I may not be here next year.
Well, who should be the captain of your life? Should your boss? Should the world?
No.
Who? The Word of God, our relationship with Jesus Christ should dictate our choices, and our choices determine where we're at. Our choices and those we associate with. And Dale, you have built many strong associations over the years, and you are perfectly poised, I believe. Now, some people may be watching this and saying, what are they talking about? Well, you'll find out maybe.
Find out.
But it doesn't matter, because I think that we are all faced with, when are we going to develop a healthy dissatisfaction with the way things are?
Right, and I'm at that point. I mean, and it's been brewing for a while. But again, if you're young and you want a career to go after it, that's great.
Yeah, you got time to start over.
You got start. Yeah, you got time, and so do it. There's nothing wrong with the corporate career or things like that. I just had my fill of it, and I'm at the point now where I'm tired of working for other people, and it's kind of been boiling up in me for the last couple of years. So we kind of tease it a little bit there, but that's okay. But I'm at the point now where I have to do something for me pretty soon, and if I don't, I'll regret it. And if I fail, hey, I tried, but I'm not going to just do what I keep doing for other people. And I've hoed that row a long time.
Well, and there's so many biblical principles involved. The parable of talents comes to mind, but I know that so often we get these desires and we ask God to bless whatever it is we're thinking of. And we go to God with our hands like this when we ought to be backing up a pickup truck. God,
Yeah.
I think if there's any such thing as disappointment in heaven, so the story goes, it'll be all the things we could have done or could have had if we only would have went for it.
Yeah, go for it. If for some reason I couldn't get in the chat room again, if
I've opened up a case with our chat room.
Okay,
if there is a problem, apparently.
All right, so there's a lot of folks out there. So if they've been trying to get their manuscript done, get it done. Don't worry about being perfect. Get it done. If you have a screenplay or something you're writing, get it done, and stop waiting for that epiphany moment to come to you. Just get it done.
Well, and so many times we're waiting on someone else to give us the go-ahead. Even if it's the publisher. If you poured your heart into your manuscript, and I know nothing about writing, but don't let one publisher tell you that it's no good.
Oh, right, because I've shared this on here. I was told face-to-face in one of my first conferences, Dale, you'll probably never be published. Okay.
That would motivate me.
It motivated me. And last year when I accepted one of the awards, I made sure I went over and shook his hand. I said, good to see you.
You'll never.
So I said, good to see you.
Massive success is the very best revenge, folks.
So
sure.
But get stuff done. There's no time like right now. We're not guaranteed tomorrow, especially in this day and age. And just do it. Don't wait for that sign or that signal or that perfect moment. Get up, and if it's 2:00 in the morning, do it. But so I'm at that point now where I'm going to do something. Okay. I'm going to try to do something. Let's put it that way, and hopefully it'll work out in the next couple of weeks. And I think it will. But that was the motivation behind the blog. I'm doing something new. The podcast, even though who knows what'll happen with it. But I'm doing it. I don't know what I'm doing all. But hey, I did it. I recorded it. I got the equipment. I recorded it. I put it out there. And I'll learn. I'll get some better things. I'll get some more platforms and I'll get a YouTube channel, things like that. But I had to start somewhere. I wasn't going to be set in place perfect before I did it.
Folks, if you are not at pjnet.tv in the chat room, you're missing something, okay? Because Dell mentioned President Lincoln. Well, Rachel Colby has posted the series, not one or two. 1, 2, 3,
15.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm seeing right there.
Yeah, failures.
Utter failures. Utter failures of President
And I'm sure
Lincoln.
there were a few more.
I'm sure that's not an exhaustive list. But one of the things you mentioned, you did your podcast, is you bought the equipment. And when there's a principle here. If you're sitting here struggling with an idea, invest in yourself. When I was a personal trainer, if they would not invest in a chest-worn heart rate meter, I would not train them. Right. So if you're not willing to invest that in yourself, then why should I waste my time with you? And anytime I do something, if you will make that investment, now you've burnt your bridges, so to speak. Yeah, buy that piece of equipment, because once you got it, you got to move forward.
And you can't be afraid, and there's a difference, and Kyle taught a class on this. We're supposed to be humble and meek and things like that, and you're not supposed to brag on yourself. So I don't say brag on yourself, but if you tell your accomplishments, that's not bragging. One of my clients recently won an award, this writing award. It was her first one, and I said, you need to put that on your profile. You're an award-winning writer. Oh, I don't want to do that. I said, no, you're going to do it because it gets the attention of other folks and other publishers, and if they say you're an award-winning writer, and if you won something in the 5th grade, or a poem, you can say you're an award-winning writer.
Well, you don't have to win first place either. You might have gotten second or third.
Yeah,
that's still an award.
Yeah, and so there's nothing wrong with not tooting your horn, but letting folks know of your accomplishments. That's why sometimes when I write what's happened to me, I put on there, I'm not bragging. This is just what's happened. You can take it as bragging if you want, but I'm not bragging. It's saying what has happened. Well,
and it's in the context of something else. You're presenting yourself out there, and you say you're adding credibility and proof, so to speak, of your story. But the good thing is when you're part of a team, like you're on PJNet, you don't have to brag on yourself by yourself. We let others, we brag on each other. We encourage one another. We lift one another up. We invest ourselves in each other. It's called teamwork, folks.
Yeah.
And I promise you, nothing worthwhile has happened without it.
So hopefully, the next podcast will be out Saturday morning, and it'll be on my Twitter, on my Facebook feed, and that kind of stuff like that. So I don't know what the topic will be yet, but it'll be short, 15 minutes. It'll be 15 minutes of me just blathering with facts, and I'll have a guest on here and there, but that's not the main focus.
It's not the focus. All right. Well, Dale, I can't wait to find out how things unfold in the future that is in front of you, and I'm sure we'll find out when the time comes.
And go Bucks, right?
Okay. You have your team. I have mine.
I want to see Bama do well too. Maybe I don't think they're in at the tie, but that would be good for book sales for both teams.
You have hedged your bets well. Dale, thanks for the encouraging word, and we appreciate you sharing that with us this week. And we'll see you about this time next week.
See you next week.
All right. Dale Duduit, and there you see a view from one of the remote cameras out there in the Eagle's Nest, the broadcast facilities of pjnet.tv. Folks, it has been a wonderful night, and I am so glad that I've been a part of this, and I'm glad that you've been a part of it. I hope that we've all received some encouragement and some blessing and some strengthening, because it's in there, folks. Bring it out. Go for it, as Dale says. Folks, we're gonna wrap it up tonight. We do this Monday through Thursday, 9 o'clock, 9:30 Eastern. We have live guests. And on Friday night, we have something special. Steve Hazard takes the helm. Great place to be. Great family to be a part of. pjnet.tv. I'll end it with this. 2 questions I would like you to pose to yourself. They're simple. First, what is the boldest thing that you have ever done for Jesus Christ? Not the ones you thought about, the one you did. And secondly, when was that? It's a new year. It's time to get off our butt and be bold for the kingdom of Jesus Christ. So I certainly hope that none of us will be happy with our answer to either of those 2 questions.